Good afternoon and welcome to the stream. We've got some breaking news for you today in the world of compounds and lawsuits, and accessibility at the end of the day is what we're concerned about here at On the Pen. Thank you for being here. Welcome. If you're just joining, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button. If staying on top of news in the world of obesity treatment is something that means a lot to you, that is what we have given our life to here at On the Pen. And so thank you for those who have joined us along on the journey by subscribing to our YouTube channel or wherever you're watching. So breaking news here today. We've been hearing rumblings about this all day. We've been waiting to get an update from Pacer to confirm this lawsuit, but Reuters is now reporting it. So we feel comfortable bringing the news. The industry insiders have been contacting me today, asking me for information about this lawsuit. I have been aware of it now for a couple of hours, but with the reporting now being done by Reuters, and I'm going to bring you this article here so that we can read it together. Of course, we've got an article up at onthepen.com already as well. So if you're not at onthepen.com, signed up for email alerts. If you would have been, you would have had this information about 10 or 15 minutes ago. So a little plug to jump over to onthepen.com really quick, scroll to the bottom, take 2 seconds to sign up for email alerts. It'll be one of the best decisions that you will have made today. So let's cover this together here and see what Reuters is reporting. Again, we don't have court documents. As soon as we do, we'll upload them to onthepen.com. But drug compounders, this is per Reuters, drug compounders sued the U.S. Food and Drug Administration on Monday over its decision last week to remove Novo Nordisk's weight loss and diabetes treatments Wegovy and Ozempic from its shortage list, a move that will sharply curtail the ability of compounders to sell cheaper versions of the medications. The lawsuit filed in Fort Worth, which is where the tirzepatide case is going on as well. Texas federal court by the Outsourcing Facilities Association, same association that's bringing the tirzepatide lawsuit. They're a compounding industry group, and Texas-based compounding pharmacy operator claims the FDA's finding that there was no longer a shortage of the drug's active ingredient semaglutide was arbitrary and capricious. Same sort of allegations that they brought forth in, again, the tirzepatide lawsuit. So sort of just a mirror image of that, but substitute semaglutide instead of tirzepatide. The FDA declined to comment on the lawsuit. The OFA and Pharmacia Compounding filed a similar lawsuit against the agency last year over its removal of tirzepatide, the active ingredient in Eli Lilly's rival weight loss and diabetes drugs Zepbound and Mounjaro, from the shortage list. That case remains pending, with the association seeking a preliminary ruling blocking the FDA's decision. U.S. regulations allow compound pharmacies to manufacture and sell large quantities of brand name medicines only if they are in short supply. Americans who cannot afford Wegovy have struggled to find it, have been turning to often cheaper versions sold by compound pharmacies and telehealth providers like Hims and Hers and Weight Watchers. Wegovy has been shown to help patients lose as much as 15% of their body weight on average. The Outsourcing Facilities Association and Pharmacia allege in both lawsuits that shortages of the drug persist and that the FDA wrongly trusted the manufacturer's claim that they could meet demand without considering the evidence that patients were still having trouble accessing the medications. The FDA last October agreed to reconsider its decision about tirzepatide in response to the lawsuit, but in December said its conclusion remained the same. So again, that compliments of Reuters. I just want to add a little bit of my own color and commentary to this, because that's what you're here for, not for me to read an article, but I just wanted you to know that it has been confirmed by Reuters. So let's talk about this. So they're alleging the same thing they did in the tirzepatide lawsuit. So I think the most important and pressing issue for people watching this stream, again, hit that thumbs up button if you appreciate On the Pen bringing you the news here in this stuff. The most pressing issues for patients, which is what we talk about here, is how long will accessibility to compounded versions of semaglutide exist, and how does this lawsuit affect that? Well, first of all, I don't see the FDA, given their recent filings in the tirzepatide case, I don't see the FDA postponing or pausing their decision here on semaglutide. The difference between when tirzepatide was taken off the shortage and the difference when semaglutide was taken off the shortage is that the tirzepatide was moved within a couple of weeks of Lilly reporting the doses were commercially available. As with semaglutide, what we saw was that they waited quite a long time for the lawsuit over compounded tirzepatide to sort of evolve until they eventually doubled down and Eli Lilly joined the lawsuit. I think you'll see the same thing here. Novo Nordisk, who filed a amicus brief in the tirzepatide case, will likely join the defense of the FDA in the semaglutide trial. So how much it shifts the timeline of compounded semaglutide, which we were given dates the other day by the FDA as to when they would choose to basically begin enforcement on compounded versions of semaglutide, which wasn't immediately. I believe that they were giving the same grace period, 60 and 90 days, respectively, to 503A and 503B. I need to double check my work on that because I'm going off the top of my head. Yes, 60 days for the 503A versions. That takes us to April 22nd of 2025. And for 503Bs, they have 90 days till May 22nd of 2025. I don't see those timelines shifting in this semaglutide trial the way that we did see them shift along in the tirzepatide trial, again, because I think at this point they've been through it. They know what they knew what they did when they removed it from the shortage list. And so I don't think that they will have to go back and sort of recheck their work on this because there's precedent. So I believe that those dates will likely hold. Again, this whole conversation is about the mass production of compounded versions of semaglutide. It is not about custom formulations and custom dosing, which many pharmacies have already signaled, and telehealth providers have already signaled that they intend to write custom prescriptions of non-commercially available doses or formulations that are not FDA approved, but a patient may require a little B12 with their semaglutide or tirzepatide to deal with, various side effects that they may be dealing with. That is sort of the loophole that they intend to use to continue to offer broad scale of compounded semaglutide and tirzepatide. What has always been the question here, and something we always bring this conversation back to it on the pen, is what that will really come down to is the appetite of these compound pharmacies, of these providers, of these telehealth companies to continue to offer those things in the face of what will certainly be a deluge of cease and desist letters and threat of legal action from the patent holders of both tirzepatide and semaglutide, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk. So that's the news. That's the breaking news today. If you're just joining here, the Outsourcing Facilities Association, the same association that sued the FDA over the tirzepatide shortage, which is ongoing. We're actually waiting. Tomorrow could be a really big day in that trial because February 25th could be the earliest date that we may potentially see the judge actually issue something on the preliminary injunction, or he could simply set a court date for oral arguments. We're watching that closely as well. But the same organization that brought that lawsuit against the FDA has brought another lawsuit in the same venue against the FDA for their decision to remove semaglutide from the shortage list. So that's the breaking news today. We don't have any filings in this lawsuit as of yet. There are a couple things to consider when it comes to what is different about the tirzepatide lawsuit versus the semaglutide lawsuit. A lot of the same language is what we're hearing from the Reuters report. Again, we don't have the actual documents in hand. They've not yet been uploaded to Pacer. Once we do have them, we'll go over them. But it sounds very similar that they're alleging some of the similar things in this case that they were in the tirzepatide case. But what makes this different, in my estimation, is some of the information that was submitted to the court on behalf of the OFA and Pharmacia in the tirzepatide trial was about the broad scale of compound medications that patients were relying on. I firmly believe that those numbers, I believe it was something like 80 million doses were manufactured last year of compounded GLP-1s. I would venture a guess to say that a good 65 to 75%, maybe even higher, of those were semaglutide versus tirzepatide. As you can see by the numbers reported by Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, Wegovy and Ozempic scripts continue to sort of be the leader in terms of of how many people are on the branded versions of those. And I believe that the same is true for the compounded versions, simply because it's an older molecule. It's been around for a little bit longer, and their shortages have been around for a little bit longer as well. So there's some interesting nuance in the sense that you could potentially see a different ruling in this case than the tirzepatide, because it's not an apples to apples comparison, but it's very, very similar. A lot of similarities in the lawsuit in terms of what is being alleged and what the OFA and Pharmacia are seeking for a remedy. So we'll be following this very closely. Last plug, jump over to onthepen.com, sign up for email alerts. We've got a whole article about this. We'll continue to drop articles as we get more information. We'll continue to update the article that we have out there as well. So I would much, much encourage you to do that. Tomorrow, of course, we have our podcast that is live streamed at noon on Tuesdays. So join us tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, different bat time. We'll be on at noon Central Time. So join us live for that. Of course, you'll always be able to download and listen to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever, and you'll be able to catch it there. But if you want to catch it live, I'm sure this will dominate the conversation tomorrow, as we'll have documents to go over, potential insights that we may glean from those will be shared on the podcast tomorrow. If you have not given the podcast a 5-star rating and review, please make sure you do that over there. We're almost to 200. So we just need like 5 or 6 more reviews over there to get to 200. That's a nice round number to take that podcast up. So thanks for those who have already done that. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being the best part of what we do it On the Pen. Wouldn't do it without you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button before you go, and we will catch you on the next one.